everybody, welcome back to the Consummate Athlete Podcast and our Wide Angle Podium bonus episode for the season. I'm Molly Herford, and when I'm not outside riding, running, doing some kind of endurance training, I'm probably inside writing or talking about it.
And I'm Peter Glassford. I'm a registered kinesiologist and an endurance coach, and you are here on the Consummate Athlete Podcast, where we look at all different types of sports and athletes and coaches and experts and even just regular people that are doing a bunch of different sports. We try and pull that back into things we can use in our own sports and our own lives. And this is indeed a bonus episode that we're actually just putting out for everyone in good faith. It is the Wide Angle Podium Donor Drive. And so what that means is, we're sort of drumming up support here for the network, which includes our podcast. It includes CX Hairs and all the awesome things they do for cyclocross and cycling in general. Slow Ride Podcast, Bike Shop CX, several other awesome podcasts. So we're doing this extra episode, bonus episode.
Yeah. And
who is it with?
So this is actually probably the most appropriate person we could possibly have on for...
Okay. And you said this is our
network.
I would say she's the most popular, but our most frequent guest now.
Yeah. So today we have Katarina Nash, who you have probably heard of if you've been in the cycling world for the last 20 years, because that's how long she's been winning races.
Yes.
She is one of the most amazing humans that I have had the privilege of knowing and sitting down with and swapping stories with, sharing meals with. I've been really lucky that I've been interviewing her since pretty much the day I started in cycling journalism. And yeah, she is by far one of my favorite people to chat with about her long career that actually started in cross-country skiing before she...
At a very high level.
A very high level.
And then she was going to the Olympics for cross-country skiing and then switched over.
Yeah, then she pivoted to cross-country mountain biking, shifted into cyclocross, and despite being the oldest racer on the start line at both the Iowa and the Waterloo World Cups earlier in the season, she was second in Iowa to her former teammate Magali Rochette, and then she won in Waterloo. It was honestly one of the coolest races that I've gotten to see. I mean, I've watched her win races dozens, if not like 100 times at this point. Mm-hmm. But this one was, just a really, really crazy course. And, if you watched it, there was tons of mud. Conditions were not fantastic. She actually didn't have a great race there last year because she had some mechanical trouble on her bike. But then to watch her this year just kind of basically put on a clinic of what it looks like to race in technical muddy conditions.
Right.
Was just fantastic.
Which is a great consummate athlete. That's why one of the reasons we like cyclocross, but especially muddy cyclocross, there's a lot of running and strategy as far as getting on and off the bike, which is very athletic. There's a bit of sliding here and there. But we also like Katarina, and why we have her on is because she is, quite a consummate athlete. We talked about skiing, the different cycling disciplines. She's been trying out enduro this year, which is, a more extreme version of mountain biking.
She's on team Get Molly a Dog.
Yes,
so
and then she also
her.
has her own dogs. And walks very often, talks about the benefits of her walking and sort of that aspect of just sort of the lower key aspects of movement in life, which is good. And then I think also she is very good at being very open. And when we talk about being a consummate athlete, being humble, being, open to helping younger athletes. I think Magali Rochette would say that probably Katarina was a big part of her progressing as well.
Yeah, and she and I actually talk about that a ton. If you head over to Flow Bikes, actually, where I did a big interview with Magali, we actually sat down and watched Magali's race win in Iowa and, commented all through it and talked about like her battle with Katarina and that and what that meant for her. And
I thought you meant that Katarina and you also sat down and went through it. No, this is
Magali and I.
So then you could have done a split screen.
Oh my gosh, that would have been hilarious. Maybe next time. Yeah. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this. This is all part of a very lengthy interview I did to write a piece for Bicycling Magazine about how Katarina has stayed in the sport for so long and some practical.
So we'll link to that.
Practical takeaways.
We'll link to some of the CX Hairs summaries of these crazy races we're talking about, and I guess the UCI summary on YouTube as well.
Yeah, but I will say there was a ton in this interview that didn't make it into the article, so it's definitely worth listening to the whole thing, even if you have read the article already, because we talk about so much stuff that I couldn't possibly have written the whole thing.
So just to conclude is Wide Angle Podium/donate for that bonus content, in addition to this free bonus content we're also putting out.
arrow pins.
And the arrow pins, right.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys and enjoy this episode with Katarina Nash. Did you expect to be in contention for the win, or actually coming into like Jingle Cross too? Because I mean, obviously, you've had a good start to the season.
Yeah, no, it's a great start, and I probably, I wanted to be at these first World Cups because I always like to support it, but I didn't really have much of a cyclocross plan after. Just going beyond, I've actually had a super busy summer season. I raced a ton, did a bunch of stage racing, and so, and then, the team is, I'm kind of the only cross racer left. So there is, there is no really structure to it, but I still wanted to do it, and those guys, definitely wanted to be at the North American World Cups, even though we're not really a World Cup team anymore. So we put it together kind of, not last minute, but I did the Breck Epic, then went home and had like about 3 weeks to kind of pick up some specific cross training and running and all those things. And so, I went into it like knowing that my fitness was good, but my race structure for the summer was not terribly different than the last couple of years, but definitely a lot of just slow grinding miles, like stage racing and high altitude, and so it doesn't. You bring in good fitness, but not a necessarily specificity to the cyclocross with the speed and stuff. So, having said that, I know Jingle Cross very well. I've raced there for so many years, and I just know I can do well. At that course, being a mountain biker, having that big climb, and so I always try to like prepare for that one and just give it my best. And I had a really good race out there. I was super stoked and kind of like, the crossfire just got going. And and I honestly, like, I wasn't really like too focused on the second one. Because I, historically done well at Jingle Cross, and that was like, I want to win one more, and I didn't. I had such a good ride, but I didn't win it, and I didn't. I was just like, I don't know. I just was excited about good start position going into track, and didn't really, think much beyond that. But in the morning of the race, when I saw the conditions, I was like, well, this is good. I like this. So. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, like, deep inside, I was just still thinking about, going forward, trying to take the win, but I didn't really make it super big focus. I was just psyched to be on the podium at Jingle and to have a good showing at the North American events, and I had a good day the next day at Jingle Cross, so I already felt like, oh, this is pretty rad. And then once I got to, I backtrack a little bit. I just like after Jingle Cross, I definitely felt like having sort of the 2 races that I was super tired, and I was a little bit like, but not bummed out. I know that's something that I've been dealing with last couple of years, but it's just like definitely recognizing it. You don't have that like murder yourself mentality, it really comes out only at the special occasions, and I had like had a good Jingle Cross, but like I felt like I just couldn't push through that zone a little bit to get that more seconds or something. So I was kind of bummed out about it, but it was just funny because once I got into the lead at Waterloo, I was able to push through that, and I suffered like a dog. Like I crossed the finish line and I couldn't make it up that little hill to go to the tent. I was so done, and it may not come again the rest of the year. I don't know, but it was fun to have that feeling that you can just push beyond those limits, and I know that's not something I can do every weekend, but I was thankful that it was still there. like I've never signed a contract for cyclocross. I've always been part of the mountain bike team, and we added on some cyclocross, and that's not even really like the reality right now is just like, if I didn't show the initiative to going, like the team wouldn't care. They'd be like, yeah, fine, that's all good, like,
yeah.
But there is something about, like, like I have not been on the mountain bike World Cup for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine with that. I do all the other amazing events. I race hard. I race stage races. I race with a bunch of dudes. And, like, I race a ton. But there is something about the cyclocross. I've just never, I've never done it full time. I never had I guess I have never had the opportunity to be, like, burned out. And there's just something about it that keeps, like, I just, in some way, I wish I could give up on it and have, like, an off season sometimes and, like, hang out with friends and family and not, like, pack up my gear and go to Europe for the winter months. But, like, it's, I guess I'm not normal, but I blame cyclocross for it.
I think a lot of us can blame cyclocross for our abnormality, for sure.
Yeah, and it's same, like, with the support crew, it takes, like, I was, like, trying to explain to somebody, like, we're kind of connected by misery, because not only we were out there, like, all muddy and dirty and whatever, but, like, you saw the crew, the work that goes into those bikes, the conditions that they're out there working in the pits and, like, making sure that we get a clean bike. And it's just it's not for everybody,
Yeah.
So it's, we're definitely a special group of people.
That's for sure.
And I feel lucky. I had, I had the crew that I did to kind of get through such a tough weekend, and and now to support me into a few more of these.
Yeah.
I shared the link to the race with a couple of neighbors, that they know to ride bikes, whatever. But I sent this one out, and I was like, this is what I do. And I mean, the reaction is just amazing. They just were so impressed, and like my neighbor Sarah was like, I have so many questions.
Yeah.
Can we walk dogs? So it's I don't know. It feels like we're a little bit of an outcast, and it feels good,
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
Exactly.
I did set up little barrier here at the edge of the driveway, and it was cute because my landlord showed up yesterday, and they're like, do you know what this is? Is somebody trying to tell us something? Like, we can't figure out what is it for, And I was like, oh, actually, that's me practicing cyclocross. They had their horses to escape a couple times, so they thought there was somebody, like, trying to tell them a message.
Oh, that's funny.
Pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I practiced a little bit leading up to the season, and then, I never really had, like, a course set up anywhere or that kind of practice ground. I just kind of float through a couple different communities. So I just kind of do it more in nature. And obviously in the races, and I don't know, like, I still can hop them, so there's been a lot of remounts, dismounts for me.
How does your training now compare to when you were first starting in, like, your first few years of racing?
Well, I feel like the intensity has gone down a little bit, just because just essentially you're not able to put in as much short efforts and recover, and in some ways, like, I was never, I came from that skiing background, so I had always good intensity, and the training was a little bit different, but, like, I definitely struggle with those, like, go out there for 5 hours and ride your bike,
Yeah.
And so I've finally managed to kind of build that endurance over the years, just kind of working on that. So it's pretty good, but I still don't like. I'm still more like, I would rather ride harder for 3 hours than slower for 6 hours kind of day, So
That's fair.
And then, yeah, I don't know, like I raced, like I said, I raced so much this summer that like I finally like went back to a few little intervals, sessions, like end of, end of August to prepare for cross. But the rest of the summer, I was just like, when you're doing like 7-day stage races and then you have like week and a half off and then you're doing another 2-day and then you go right into Breck Epic and, so there's like not much time for training. So I don't know if it's just like the structure of the racing or just also like that aging process where you have to respect the recovery, because without it, like you're not doing a good job. Like you're just getting that training in, but it's not beneficial. And I think I tried to do a little too much last 2 years. And, I started really well in the September with the cross season. And then I kind of tried to maintain good, endurance, but also like do a lot of intensity, and I was just getting more and more tired, and it really didn't translate into good results over the winter. I think I just been like super, super tired. And so, and then obviously going right back into mountain bike season by March, it's just like, I think my body is just starting to kind of give me signs that, you just have to be smarter about it. And so if I do choose to go into the kind of like more events this winter, I just have to be aware of that and just respectful of that. And so it's changing. Less, I wouldn't say less volume, because I still do decent volume throughout the year, but probably a little less intensity. But I also, I feel like I race a lot more than when I race World Cup mountain biking, because you just travel so much all summer long, and then then you don't do tons of other stuff because you're not taking that risk to go do all these other things. You can't, you can't just jump into EWS and then go to the Olympics, so I wouldn't do that back in the day, but I've had the luxury to do it now, and it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's good to be fit. It's good to be lean, but I think it's so individual. It's every athlete has to find their right weight. And for me, it's always been like, this is kind of the weight of healthy lifestyle. If I want to be smaller, it will be unhealthy, and I wasn't willing to go there, Yeah,
so, and you probably wouldn't still be racing at that point, right? Like you'd probably have gotten a stress fracture and like been... It's
been part of the longevity for me, where I guess that more balanced approach, and it's not like when in my 20s I set out to do this, like I'll be racing until I'm this old, and but I guess I've just enjoyed the racing so much. I figure out a way how to keep a good balance to stay in it and enjoy it. And I'm not saying that's how everybody should do it, right? Like there are people that are willing to just like, just do whatever and destroy their body, get that one big result and be done with it. And they're maybe happy too, like we're all after different things. But I think it's up to each athlete to find their perfect balance. But it's good to be reminded that healthy is always better in the long term, because, this is just a little chapter of our life. And it's sad to see people push it beyond those limits and kind of disappear from the sport and struggle with health issues forever. I just don't think that those first places are worth that sacrifice, knowing that it could be done differently, so I think that's like you want to give it your best, but I would encourage all the girls out there, just like once you start losing your period, take another look,
Exactly.
Something your body's not agreeing with, so that would definitely be my recommendations. I definitely eat good food, and I prepare food at home, and I go out to nice food, and I'm a California snob, and I eat well, and we have obviously anything you can think of, it's available throughout the year, and I take advantage of that, because I grew up in Eastern Europe, and we had dried up apples as only fruit by February, so it was like you pick them, you put them in the somewhere in grandparents' house in the basement, and so if I can buy blueberries at the Berkeley Bowl every day, then I will,
Yeah. All right. We hope you enjoyed that episode with Katarina Nash. I know I loved chatting with her. And as always, you can let us know what you thought of the episode. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Molly J. Herford and at Peter Glassford. We're on consummateathlete.com. And particularly this week, head over to wideanglepodium.com/donate. Get involved with the donor drive. You can donate as little as $5 a month up to $50 a month. You can do a one-time donation. That all helps for just keeping shows like ours on the air and, getting better and better equipment, getting bigger guests on, all that kind of stuff. So we appreciate, you taking the time to listen. We appreciate you taking the time to donate. And we will see you next week.